So Jane, if a practice wants to do a brand refresh or a marketing refresh, what kind of things can you help them with?
Well, I think first of all, we would advise them about their brand values, or see if they have brand values in place first.
Is that important? Because surely if they just want a little bit of a zhuzhing, I mean, we get requests from many practices just to zhuzh something.
Yes.
Why is it so important to have the values there first?
Because they need to know who they are, so that they can tell customers who they are. And if they're not clear about that, it's going to be very difficult for them to market themselves appropriately. So,
and from your work with the designers and the copywriters that we work with at Onswitch, having those values in place before we start doing the work makes it a smoother progress or a process or a longer process? How do the values help us deliver for customers?
It's much smoother because I mean, it's the difference between someone being very traditional, maybe more modern, or they might be, sustainability might be very important to them. You know, everybody has a different, slightly different bent, slightly different mix of things that they focus on.
And so having that brand values, practice values sorted before the design phase and before the refreshing or the marketing overview or the brand overview, you would say that's more important than anything else at the beginning?
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't know who you are and what you want to say to your customers, it's very difficult to come up with a consistent brand look and feel.
So once the values are in place, then talk me through the process that you work with the design team here at Onswitch and the copyright team here. Having those values in place, then what happens next from the practice's point of view?
Right, well, we would say to them, depending on what they want produced, they might want a practice leaflet, they might, whatever they want produced, they're going to need words on it. And they're going to need pictures. So we'd say to them, do you have an idea of what you want to say? And they might have it written, and they might say, we want that exactly. More often than not, they'd quite like to send it to our copywriter to edit it.
And I think that will be a very wise move, mostly in our experience of veterinary words versus customer focused words. There's a very subtle difference between what a vet would write about the practice and what a professionally trained copywriter might say about the practice.
And what's also good about a copywriter is they can have the same, it can be a consistent feel throughout all the materials. So it's the consistent, and that the copywriter will have knowledge of their brand values. So she will, or he will, take those into account when writing the copy. So we will ask them about that. So they might even say, we've just got a few bullet points about what we want to say, and then the copywriter will write it all. So it's up to the client how much input they want with that.
So to summarise then, that, you know, the reason someone's watching us having this chat today is because they think they might need a brand refresh or some marketing, materials put together, is that before we can do anything, we need to get to the heart and soul of the practice, what it stands for, what it means, why it's different to the other practices down the road. And from there on in, you can hold their hand and work with the copywriting team and the design team to produce materials and campaigns. And as long as you've done the first bit, that's the key thing I think you're saying here, is that you've got to get the values first.
Absolutely, because creative people, they can go in any direction. And you really have to sort of focus them, and then they can do something really special if they know exactly what framework they're working in.
Brilliant. That's really useful. Thank you.